Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Doug with News and Views by Doug. And if you're new to the channel, this is where I talk about my observations and opinions on world politics, world events, and pretty much anything else I feel like talking about. Today is Sunday, June 28th. And today I'm pissed. I am pissed off beyond recognition. There's just so many evil people in this world who just want to harm others. And I don't get how much evil can be out there. I know there's a lot of good people. I try to be a good person. And the things that I see and read and hear just blows me away. So just so you know, in the Persian Gulf, the war is back on. Iran has been attacking Bahrain and Kuwait, and the U.S. is retaliating, blowing up their drones and their missiles and anything else they're doing. They hit an oil tanker yesterday, and they had hit a cargo ship the day before, and they being the Iranians. And President Trump is saying that he's going to annihilate them. So the truce is done. It's over with. So several stories today. The first one is there was a triple homicide in Kissimmee, Florida, back in January. And some word is leaking out, and they claim that it was, covered on local and national news. But they're not really pushing the real hard truth in the evidence. The three victims were old men who had came down to Florida, and they were going to basically play tourists. Two of them were brothers, and the third was their best friend. Well, Ahmad Jihad Bojeh, his middle name's Jihad, and we all pretty much know what that means when it comes to a Muslim. He stalked them and then shot and killed all three of them. And the news reported it just as a white male who, just for unknown reasons, went and shot and killed these three men. They left out the fact that he was a Muslim. They took out his middle name when they announced his name. And I can't say they're doing a cover-up, because one station actually did report that some of the evidence that the police found was that he was asking for advice on verses in the Quran on how he could get into heaven. So these three older men, and you'll see them in the video, they were just out, together enjoying their life. And this Muslim male stalked them and killed them. Here's the video.
New details tonight into a triple murder case in Osceola County.
3 tourists shot and killed in cold blood, and now a new report reveals what may have been running through the suspect's head. Fox 35's Matt Trezza joins us live from Osceola County. And Matt, what does that report say?
Yeah, we got those documents from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office and investigators. It's 179 pages long, but it does shed some interesting new light on the case against Ahmad Bojeh. Now, Bojeh is currently facing a criminal trial on 3 counts of first-degree murder. Prosecutors say he gunned down Bob and Douglas Kraft and Jim Puchan at a house in Kissimmee in mid-January. Among the documents, the report details Bojeh's cell phone searches before the shooting. He allegedly searched, quote, "What happens if you swear on the Quran and lie?" He also searched for, quote, "the best Quran surah to listen to achieve Jannah," which means he's asking which chapter of the Quran is the best to listen to get into heaven. Sheriff's Office tells us that they did reach out to the FBI about these internet searches to see if they had enough information to charge Bojeh with terrorism. They said there was not enough info. Bojeh remains in custody at this time at the Osceola County Jail. Reporting live, Matt Trezza, Fox 35 News.
Now, I was talking about evil, and Humboldt County, which is in Northern California, there was supposed to be a rescue and animal sanctuary. And it was Miranda's Rescue and Animal Sanctuary. And they were unlicensed. And they were accepting animals from shelters so the shelters could have more room. And these people, told the shelters that their whole goal in life was to rescue the dogs, help train them if they needed trained, and get them adopted out to families who wanted them. And they've been out there for years doing this. And it's a man that was running the company. Well, a resident found a burial ground where they found 8 dogs that were buried, and every dog had a bullet hole in it. They called the authorities, and the authorities came in with a search warrant, and they've been doing digging on this property. So far, they've found 117 dogs, all with bullet holes. There are over 730 animals missing from this sanctuary. Now, this guy was already under investigation for fraud because not only was he taking the dogs from the shelters, but he was accepting money from the shelters to take care of the dogs, take care of the animals. I'm not sure what other animals he had on the property, but he apparently was just killing them and accepting more dogs and money and then killing them.
In Humboldt County have recovered the remains of 117 dogs at an animal sanctuary. The property in Fortuna is called Miranda's Rescue. The place was already under investigation for animal cruelty and fraud. Sheriff's deputies found remains at 2 separate dig sites, and they say many of the dogs appear to have been shot. The investigation began in late April, and so far there are no arrests.
For a third straight day, excavators searched the Humboldt County property of a self-proclaimed no-kill rescue.
You cannot put into really words of what exactly it smells like. The closest thing I can think is a pile of dead deer.
The Humboldt County Sheriff's Office, FBI, and several state agencies are involved in Thursday's excavation. Authorities say dozens of dogs have already been dug up, many with microchips. It follows our reporting on a search warrant affidavit alleging the rescue accepted dogs and money from shelters across California under the promise they would be cared for and rehomed. Instead, investigators believe dogs were killed to make room for more. Berkeley and Oakland were among the Bay Area shelters that sent hundreds of dogs there before cutting ties. The investigation began after a neighbor uncovered a burial pit containing 8 dogs with apparent gunshot wounds.
I hope that it will be the beginning of a change where the animals will be removed from him and placed into legitimate rescues where they actually find loving homes.
Okay, thank you all for being here today. My name is William Hansel. I'm the sheriff in Humboldt County. To my left is Lieutenant Brandon Head. He is the Major Crimes Division Manager. He is our incident commander here today. We sent a press release out this morning advising that we are here conducting a search warrant at Miranda's Rescue, located on Sandy Prairie Lane in Fortuna. We are executing that search warrant with several state and federal agencies. The goal of the search warrant, and ordered by the judge, is to excavate several areas on the property where we believe have deceased animals. Also here looking for financial records, adoption records, business records, as well as other fruits to the crime of fraud and animal cruelty. So there's several investigators on scene. We plan on being here for today and through the next several days. And we'll be done when we believe that all evidence is seized from this location. This is a very complex investigation that many of you understand. It started on May 1st. It involved allegations of animal cruelty, where representatives from Miranda's Rescue have appealed to different shelters throughout the state and locally of being a sanctuary for animals. What was advertised is that they would take animals here and attempt to adopt them or train them and being able to house them on this property. And that was done for a fee, anywhere between $500 to several $1,000s per animal. Our records indicate through interviewing several shelters throughout the state that Miranda's Rescue from 2025 January until April, May of this year received over 900 animals from these shelters. And we were able to account for only 100 or so that have been adopted. We have 730 animals that are unaccounted for. And that's part of the reason why we are here today. This is, again, a very complex investigation. I want to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office from the Northern Division. The USDA has also sent investigators here. They also have forensic veterinarians that are here assisting us. We have the Attorney General's Office, representatives from the Department of Justice, and also investigators from the FBI and the local DA's office here assisting us. This is a fraud investigation as well as an animal cruelty investigation, and this takes time to develop. We are not a rush to judgment investigative agency. We are here to look at all sides and all angles. We've received many reports from the public, and we're following up on those cases. But we are, again, limited to what we're able to say at this point in time. No one has been arrested associated with this case. It's still a very open and active investigation, and we are here to interview any witnesses and anyone that has any information related to this case.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those animal lovers. And my dogs are my best friends. My dogs throughout life have been better to me than any human, besides my family. I lost a couple of rescues a couple of years ago. They were just old guys, and they lived, hopefully, a happy life. And one died at 12, and the other one died at 11 years old. Well, swore I was never going to get another dog because I just couldn't handle the pain of losing them. Then my daughter-in-law called me one day and told me that her coworker was pregnant, had a 10-month-old German Shepherd purebred, and that she was going to put him in an animal shelter because she didn't want his high energy around her as she was pregnant. My daughter-in-law sent me a picture, and I immediately told her, tell them I'll take him. His name is Hank. And honestly, he's my best friend. My son came home a couple of weeks ago without telling me and brought a very young female golden retriever. And he named her Ellie. Same situation. Coworker's pregnant, didn't want the puppy around because of the energy, and she was going to get rid of her. And so my son took her in, and so now I have two dogs in here. I have Hank the Shepherd, or as I like to call him, the Shedder, and then Ellie, the golden retriever. They both get along. They got along immediately. And they play fight all the time, and she's the one that instigates it most of the time, being the younger puppy. But Hank is now, when I got him, he was 10 months old. He's now 3.5. And then Ellie, I think she's only about 6, 7 months old. She's really small. But my son says she was 10, now maybe 11 months old. But how could someone just go and kill these dogs? You know, it's for the greed of the money. So the sheriffs are investigating. They'll have other people investigating, and hopefully they'll find enough evidence to prosecute this guy. So the next story, you know, here in the United States, we've taken in way too many immigrants. They're not here to make this country better. They're here to benefit for themselves and take our resources, and they build up their own communities, and then they start trying to take over politically. And that's what happened in New York. It's happened in Michigan, and it's happening in New Jersey. And those that are going into politics are a bunch of socialists and communists. And now we've got the Democrats finally waking up, and several of them signed basically a pledge to be America first. And we might even see some of these politicians switch from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. I would like to see John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania. I'd like to see him switch sides. He's about the only Democrat I've ever liked. But the world is now seeing this problem. And it's just not a Muslim problem. It's an African problem. It's a Middle Eastern problem. Japan now is beginning to kick the Muslims out of their country. Cambodia, of all people in the world, Cambodia just forced all the Africans out of their country. They gave them until May 31st. Get out or go to prison. They're tired of them. Europe is finally, they're stopped bending their knee, and they're beginning to get the Muslims out and the Africans out. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump and immigration can now start kicking out the Somalians and the Haitians that were here on a temporary protection basis. But of course, our Democrats and leftists are all screaming, but they're here, they live here, their home is here, and they're permanently. No. Some judges and our politicians don't seem to understand the word temporary. I did a little bit of Google research. Haiti gets over 150,000 tourists every year, including the Hollywood types, who say that Haiti's a paradise. So if it's safe enough for the tourists and these celebrities, it's safe enough for the Haitian refugees to go back home. The Somalians, name one thing the Somalians have done to improve this country, because according to them, they're just the wonderful people. They've done nothing wrong besides commit fraud upon fraud upon fraud. And they've done that all over the country. If you spend any time online, you'll see that, especially in Europe, you've got nothing but crime going on. And it's mostly the blacks and people, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say blacks. It's the Africans and people from the Middle East. And then even gypsy gangs from Eastern Europe that they're destroying Europe. Not only do they have large theft rings, but they just pollute the area. They destroy, areas that were once clean, and the tourists are afraid to go into these areas now. Florence, Italy, Barcelona, Spain, London. I mean, these cities are just turning into shit. And in Japan, they even have a problem with the African scammers and theft rings. And Japan will not put up with that crap. Again, they've already beginning to get rid of the Muslims. And the Muslims have been building mosques illegally without permission from the government. And so those mosques are being torn down. And you even go into China, communist China, they're not putting up with it. They're destroying the Muslim mosque that they can find. So it's amazing what's going on in the world. Now, there's a disturbing report that came out in the United Kingdom, and it should anger every parent, every man in the world that has a daughter, every mother that has a daughter. And this should open your eyes in every country, especially here in the United States. This report came out that for years, there have been these gang rape grooming parties, mostly Pakistanis roaming England and grabbing young girls, white. Didn't say they were grabbing black or any other, race. They're grabbing white girls. Up to 250,000 of them. And raping them, gang raping them, holding them hostage, forcing them into becoming Muslims. 250 fucking thousand? And the police and the British government was doing nothing about it. But one parliament member requested an investigation, and the report came out. And you'll see in the following video, it's just disgusting. And you know what? If I caught a man abusing my daughter, if I had it, well, I've got a daughter-in-law and I've got a granddaughter. And I ever caught any man abusing them, I'd be in prison. Gladfully be in prison.
Yesterday, the world was exposed to one of the most horrifying documents ever published, the UK's Rape Gang Inquiry, initially commissioned by one member of Parliament, Rupert Lowe, and now, having been read by hundreds of millions of people all over the world, demands radical change in the policies of mass migration across Western civilization. If you know what I'm talking about, you may have already read some of the report yourself, but if you haven't, just a heads up, this is an incredibly difficult subject and one of the hardest episodes of our show that we've ever had to record, but we can no longer continue to turn a blind eye to the horrific reality of Islamic rape gangs subjecting our daughters of the West to rape, gang rape, torture, abuse, even murder because of their identity as white, Christian, and Western. Even if this is a quick overview in case you're unfamiliar with the subject, the idea of grooming gangs, or rape gangs, more appropriately called, frankly, I think we should be even more transparent and say Islamic rape gangs, has been one of the most controversial subjects in UK politics for many, many, many decades, and now spilling over into the larger continent of Europe as well. For years, people have been labeled as radical right-wing conspiracy theorists, domestic terrorists, and even thrown in prison for attempting to draw light on the subject and expose the horrifying reality of what's happening inside of Britain's neighborhoods. Not in Pakistan, not in Afghanistan under Taliban rule, not in Iran under the reign of the Ayatollahs, in the United Kingdom, where tens of thousands, suspected up to this point, of young girls have been repeatedly raped by grown Muslim men throughout their childhood and adolescent lives, simply because they are white and British. But this report is maybe the first of its kind and puts together survivor testimony, data, government research, police reports, and so much more into one concise 219 pages, but I'm sure it could be much longer, document outlining how horrific the scale of this problem actually is. The report starts with this. The Rape Gang Inquiry examined the systematic targeting of vulnerable girls, children, overwhelmingly white British children, predominantly by Muslim Pakistani gangs across towns and cities throughout the United Kingdom. The evidence put to this inquiry confirms that this scandal constitutes one of the most horrendous failures in the history of our country. The scale of these crimes committed is staggering. It has previously been established that at the very least, 250,000 young white girls have been subjected to repeated rape, gang rape, trafficking, torture, pregnancy, forced Islamic conversion, and lifelong trauma. And yet, the report will tell you the real number is probably significantly higher than 250,000 innocent girls.
So again, today's just my day to be pissed off because we got assholes out there that are killing animals for money. We've got groups of men out there that's a part of their religion, the Muslim religion, that it's okay to rape little girls. Look at their prophet. He married a 6-year-old, but he waited till she was 9 before he had sex with her. And that's that's part of their religion. So anyways, folks, I know I'm being a downer today and I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. So I'm going to finish this off before I get any more angry. And I'm going to tell you, folks, keep your eyes open. Be aware of your situational awareness. Take care of your family and friends. If you see something, say something. If you're at a park or somewhere and you see a strange man approaching children, do something about it. Stop them. Call the authorities. But whatever you do, don't leave that child alone until they're safe. Sorry. Anyways, folks, please stay safe out there. I'll leave you with this quote. Probably the most famous quote came from an American patriot during the Revolutionary War, Patrick Henry. And I know all of you Americans have heard this. Give me liberty or give me death. Freedom is precious. And as we like to say today, freedom isn't free. There's brave men and women out there that are giving you peace at night to sleep. They are guarding the gates against the wolves. Appreciate that and appreciate them.